and welcome to the 2022 Dan David Prize winners announcement. This year, to mark its 20th anniversary, the prize was relaunched as the world's largest history prize with the goal of supporting outstanding scholarship that illuminates the human past. Last year, there was a call for nominations of early and mid-career scholars and practitioners in the historical disciplines. Hundreds were received from around the world. Now, after a thorough review process, the prize selection committee and board have made their decision. Today, we will announce the names of the 9 winners who were selected for their breakthrough achievements in history and related fields. Each will receive $300,000 in recognition of their original contributions to the study of the past and to support their future work. They will be honored in person, hopefully, at an award ceremony in May. Before we reveal the first winner, let us remember the man whose passion for history and archaeology is the reason we are here today. The founder of the prize, the late Dan David, and his history. Dan David survived Nazi and communist persecution in his native Romania, where he worked as a photojournalist. Finally allowed to leave the country in 1960, Dan first saw an automatic photo booth while he was in Paris. It was this, he later explained, that made him transition from the art of photography to the business of photography. Dan was able to set up the first photo booth in Tel Aviv with the help of a generous loan from a French businessman. He went on to grow a successful global automated photography business. Aware that his success was made possible through the generosity of others, and believing that much of his wealth should be given back to society, he created the Dan David Foundation and Prize in the year 2000. Dan was passionate about history, archaeology, and the study of the past. He profoundly believed in the power of knowledge, scholarship, and the exchange of ideas to benefit our world. Sadly, Dan David is no longer with us, but we are here to ensure that his vision of outstanding scholarship endures. Today, we are proud to announce the names of the 9 new recipients of the Dan David Prize. Let's introduce our first prize winner. Her research revives cases brought by Black litigants against white oppressors in the antebellum South of the United States. The committee and board noted that her work uncovers explosive scenes of law and action with a deep understanding of both legal and social processes. Here is Kimberly Welch.
Kim Welch is an associate professor of history at Vanderbilt University, where she specializes in the history of slavery and law in the antebellum South in the U.S. Kim's work reveals new dimensions of slavery, race, and law using a bottom-up approach. By examining trial court records, church disciplinary hearings, and other local legal records, she uncovers the role Black litigants played in shaping legal processes.
So my work then advances our understandings of what law is and who it's for. And I think the Slave South offers an especially fruitful place for studying critically who defines law and who defines rights and to what purpose. And my research more generally focuses much of its attention on claims to personhood, legal and social, as well as civic inclusion. And in a lot of ways, this is because these were claims about who had access to the power of law, certainly, but in particular, they were also claims about who counts.
Our second winner is from Poland, where she investigates and preserves the memory of Jewish life through art, exhibitions, and architecture. The committee and board described her work as public history at its best, based on rigorous research and inspired by a pulsating ethical concern. This is Natalia Romik.
Natalia Romik is a public historian, architect, and Jewish studies scholar currently at the Foundation for the Memory of the Shoah in Paris. She combines academic research with methods drawn from contemporary art and architecture to uncover and preserve Jewish sites and memory in Eastern Europe.
I'm devoted to the investigation and preservation of the Jewish memory. I have dedicated several of my projects to excavate and present the forgotten legacy of shtetls, small formerly Jewish towns. I have designed exhibitions, conducted performances, and created nomadic installations that revive the spectral presence of the Jewish communities. struggle against social amnesia, and combat recurring antisemitism.
Our third winner is a historian of the medieval Middle East who focuses on non-elite groups, especially through lenses of disability and race. The committee and board said it is a mark of her greatness that she demonstrates the centrality of the marginalized to a proper understanding of the entire society. Meet Christina Richardson.
Christina Richardson is an associate professor at Queens College and at the Graduate Center, City University of New York. Working with understudied medieval manuscripts, Christina focuses attention on the important role played by non-elites and marginalized groups, whether Roma printers or free and unfree African and Asian laborers.
So I think the originality of my research lies in investigating the history of people we would today call Roma or travelers, but were known in medieval Arab societies as strangers, or in Arabic as Quraba. In my work, I've been able to give shape to the material lives of strangers in Islamic history, investigating the manuscript genres they pioneered in their striking work as printers since at least the 10th century. This is the crucial work of historians, who can observe the longue durée and synthesize observations made over the course of many lifetimes. If the story of European modernity involves Romani printers who had migrated from Ottoman territories and along the way converted from Islam to Christianity, we must revise our assumptions about migrant groups and nomads.
The Dan David Prize is headquartered at Tel Aviv University. And before we learn about our next winners, Professor Ariel Porat, president of Tel Aviv University, would like to offer his greetings.
I'm Ariel Porat, president of Tel Aviv University, where the Dan David Prize has been headquartered since its founding 20 years ago. The prize was created by the late Dan David to recognize innovative research and outstanding contributions to humanity. Original research is the key to expanding knowledge, opening up new opportunities for innovation, and developing a deeper understanding of who we are. The Dan David Prize has always recognized that knowledge is cultivated in universities like ours, but also outside academia, through art, activism, and public engagement. Today, we announce the names of the first cohort of winners of the prize in its updated format, with its new focus on human history and on recognizing emerging as well as more established scholars and practitioners. These 9 exceptional winners embody the creativity and impact that the Dan David Prize celebrates. Their work engages with new topics, uses new methodologies and sources, and prompts us to explore the study of the past in new ways. This is research at its best, work that opens up the imagination and asks new questions. As chairperson of the Dan David Prize Board, I offer my congratulations to our winners and look forward with excitement to seeing where the research takes them and us next.
Thank you, Professor Porat. Our fourth winner is a curator, an art historian, whose work centers on African narratives, institutions, and cultural expression. The committee and board wrote, she's a crucial voice in reimagining the discourse of museums and invites others to share their own voices in the creation of knowledge. Here's Nana Ofriata Aim.
Nana Ofriata Aim is the founder of the Anno Institute of Arts and Knowledge, Ghana. She is a curator, writer, filmmaker, and art historian. Her work gives voice to African ways of recording history by creating new models of museums and other sites of cultural expression.
The reason I'm so passionate about my work is that it's really about creating and rethinking new forms of archives, of institutions, of narratives. And obviously there's not just one way of making the world, one way of being, one way of knowing. And even though Western ways have dominated the world for so long now, I think it's incredibly exciting that ontologies and epistemologies from the African continent and its diasporas are starting to come to the forefront. And I'm incredibly excited as well at playing my part in that.
The fifth winner of the Dan David Prize is a bioarchaeologist of the Mediterranean world from prehistory to the medieval period. The committee and board commended her work for offering insights into the daily lives of past populations by combining the study of human skeletal remains with macroscopic, microscopic, and biochemical methods. This is Efthymia Nikita.
Effie Nikita is assistant professor of bioarchaeology at the Cyprus Institute. She studies human skeletal remains in order to shed light on health and disease, diet, demography, and migration in the Mediterranean region.
A bioarchaeologist's work is important because it gives voice to groups of people that are often neglected in written texts. Over the past years, I have become increasingly interested in historical periods and the integration of human skeletal data with archaeobotanical and zooarchaeological evidence, as well as historical records. I see this prize not so much as an award for my accomplishments so far, but as a means to develop more interdisciplinary research initiatives and create opportunities for other young scholars.
Our sixth winner investigates the connection between Ethiopia and Europe in the late Middle Ages. The committee and board noted that she brilliantly analyzes Western and Ethiopian sources, proposing a fresh look at cultural exchanges between Europe and Africa. Meet Verena Krebs.
Verena Krebs is a junior professor at the Historical Institute, Ruhr University, Bochum, Germany. She researches the late medieval Solomonic Kingdom of Ethiopia, carefully dismantling long-held scholarly narratives that were based on colonialist attitudes, offering a new view on cultural exchanges between Africa and Europe.
At the core of my research has been a reimagining of the history and historiography, so how we think about the history of African-European relations, using written and material culture sources to look at how Ethiopians and Western Europeans encountered one another in the late Middle Ages. It's really logical for an Ethiopian king in the 15th century to send an Italian man, an Ethiopian Orthodox monk, and an Ethiopian Muslim as his diplomats to go to the courts of Aragon, for example, and the Pope, and to request from these European places the dispatch of relics, of beautiful fabrics, of religious material culture, and of artisans that could help him with his own state-building endeavors in the Horn of Africa.
Just before we meet our three final winners, let's hear from Professor Itamar Rabinovich, chairperson of the Dan David Foundation.
I am Itamar Rabinovich, chairperson of the Dan David Foundation. As the prize neared its 20th anniversary, we decided it should be adapted to address the challenges of our times. Originally, the prize awarded those who had made major contributions to humanity in a wide range of fields under the rubric of the three time dimensions, past, present, and future. But with dwindling investments in the humanities across the globe, we have chosen to focus the Dan David Prize on history and the study of the past. By supporting early and mid-career scholars, we hope to make a difference in the field and ultimately to enrich public knowledge and discourse. Having a deep understanding of the origins of our societies and the different ways people have lived is crucial to understanding present and reimagining the future. The work of our 9 winners highlights this. Each of them explores aspects of the past, but their work also resonates with present concerns. Built on foundations of original research and scholarship, their work has an impact beyond academic and cultural circles. By shedding a new light on our past, it also challenges the ways we think of ourselves, others, and the world around us.
Thank you, Professor Rabinovich. Our 7th winner is a scholar who shines a light on the history of African-American philanthropy. The committee and board celebrated his pioneering research that illuminates significant blind spots and dispels myths in the historiography and practice of philanthropy in the United States. Here is Tyrone Freeman.
Tyrone Freeman is an associate professor at the Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. His work highlights philanthropy as an integral part of the lives and commitments of everyday Black people. By tracing the history of African American community giving, he invites us to rethink what philanthropy is.
I pursue these questions by raising up history and the humanities in my own field of philanthropic studies, but also from an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary perspective, engaging with Africana studies and Black women's history and histories of Black education, Black business, Black social welfare, because these fields already center Black life and culture. And so by bringing those perspectives and those methodologies into conversation with philanthropic studies, I'm able to produce new understandings, new frameworks, and new ways of exploring these questions of who counts as a philanthropist and what counts as philanthropy.
Our eighth winner is an environmental historian who tells the big story of agriculture, food technology, and global capitalism. The committee and board wrote that taking on the most powerful players takes courage and dedication. Producing excellent social and cultural history out of such challenging material is impressive and inspiring. This is Bartow Elmore.
Bart Elmore is an associate professor of environmental history at Ohio State University. He explores how large multinational firms have reshaped global ecosystems with the hope of finding new strategies to develop an ecologically healthier economy.
I really can't think of anything else I'd rather be than an environmental historian. Every day I come into the office and think about how the history of multinational firms that I study, firms like Coca-Cola and Monsanto, can be a lens on the larger economy. And using that lens, I'm looking for patterns, I'm looking for lessons learned in the past that we can apply to the future. My goal is to think about how history can help us create a more sustainable economy in the years ahead.
Our final winner studies visual and material culture in global and colonial contexts. Her research investigates how objects made their way into the major collections and museums of the West. The committee and board noted that she opens up a fascinating perspective on how modern culture is formulated, deeply enriching our understanding of what culture is. Meet Miriam Brucius.
Miriam Brucius is a research fellow in colonial and global history at the German Historical Institute of London. Miriam is a cultural historian who studies the circulation of objects and images between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. In her work, she seeks to find what happens to antique objects both in museum collections and beyond them.
Instead of simply looking at fixed sites, I was always more interested in what happened between places. For example, between the archaeological excavation and the museum exhibition hall. Many objects ended up in storage because museums did not actually know what they were and what to do with them. In fact, storage is where the majority of museum objects are still today. And there are reasons to ask whether this is justified in the age of repatriation, now as many countries are asking for these objects to be returned.
Congratulations to our 9 winners. The prize selection committee assessed hundreds of nominations submitted from around the world through 3 rounds of reviews before choosing the finalists. We want to thank the selection committee for their dedicated work in identifying this outstanding group of scholars. To learn more about each of our winners, please visit dondavidprize.org and follow the Don David Prize on social media, #2022 Don David Prize. The website will be updated regularly, so please check there for information on how you can nominate candidates for the 2023 prize. We'd also like to invite you to join us for the 2022 Don David Prize Award Ceremony and history-themed events with our winners. These will be held at Tel Aviv University in May and broadcast online. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye and good health from Tel Aviv.